I am very excited to talk about storytelling because it's like this buzzword that we hear all the time. But I want to talk about what is it? How can we do it? What are some of the tips? And I thought you were perfect to talk about this. So let's just start with maybe what's your definition of nonprofit storytelling?
Oh gosh, it is such a buzzword. For me, it comes down to human connection, right? I read recently that storytelling evolution has wired our brains for storytelling, right? And it's so true. It's so true. For most of human history, even the cave paintings, right? We've been telling stories. We've been passing down information, sharing stories generation to generation. And so when it comes to nonprofit storytelling, we leverage those same techniques that we've been using for decades, hundreds of years, whatever. The power in it is that it connects with people empathetically. It connects with their emotions, right? People are by design, especially in today's day and age, far more logical, far more skeptical. And by storytelling, we connect with them emotionally and bypass logic, we bypass skepticism, and we meet them where they are with those sensory descriptive words, with those emotions and the values. And you build stronger relationships with people. And so nonprofits really benefit from this because the more that you connect with people, the more that vehicle for sharing your mission, your values, the change you want to see in the world, the stronger it gets. And the stronger your relationship with your supporters, so that those supporters are around for years and years. So you are working to change the world together.
That's one of the issues that I have is that I'm not descriptive enough. I tend to get very logical and I want to tell the story and I don't get real deep in terms of the emotion of it all.
Yeah, it's hard. It definitely is. It's a default of ours to just get to the point like, this is what I'm fundraising for. Give us money to solve this problem, right? But when we take a step back and we really connect with what is our audience going through, what experiences have they had that we could share, like we can identify, let's say it's a rescue, we can identify with the suffering of an animal, right? And so if we are asking for donations for an animal, we explain what that animal went through. And then people are more likely to open their wallets to support that animal because they understand the animal's experience and they want to see it rectified.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we have a rescue dog. The story we heard was about how she was found in a dump and how close to death that she was. And I mean, it just absolutely broke our hearts, even though she's got IBD and can't control her. Anyway, too much information, but we love her and we took her just because of the story, because of her story.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really powerful stuff. It changes lives like your dogs.
Yeah, yeah. So, what types of nonprofit stories make good stories then?
So I think because we were just talking about rescue dogs, we can pull from a very popular example, those Sarah McLachlan ads showing those suffering puppies, right? Very emotional ad. You're seeing what they're going through. The music is pulling at your heartstrings. But if we really dissect it and what is making this work? Why are we connecting to this? It's authentic. It's honest. Like that is some very, very transparent photography that you're seeing. Empathetic too. So that concoction of authenticity, honesty, and empathy is what makes it powerful. It's not just that it's sad, right? Because so many people will click away from something that's far too sad. So if we really distill it down and think of the core principles of it, honesty, authenticity, and empathy can be transferred to any story a nonprofit wants to tell. And you can really harness those and connect it to your values, connect it to your perspective and the shared experiences that you have with your audience. That's when a story gets powerful. So again, it doesn't have to be sad. It can be about a recent win. It can be about your mission and the change that you want to see in the world. You can even just, be kind of boring and show a day in the life. Just show the behind the scenes. But as long as you're staying authentic, you're staying real, you're conveying that empathy, you're connecting with people through a shared set of values, it's going to be a powerful story.
Now, I worked with an organization that supported very vulnerable seniors, and we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
share. I would get these amazing stories from the social workers, but I couldn't share them because it was too real and we wanted to protect their anonymity. So I was
Mm,
very torn because I was told to take pieces and change it enough
mm.
so that I protected their anonymity, but still got the story out there. And it was, um, yeah, it didn't feel right to me, but at the same time, I knew we had to get these stories out there.
Yeah, it's hard. Some organizations are very, very careful with that. In certain circumstances, you can get permission and consent to share people's stories. When you're dealing with seniors and particularly vulnerable ones, that might not always be possible, I'd imagine. But to the extent that you can ahead of time, ask someone if it's okay to share their story, that would be great. But two, if you can't share someone's story for whatever reason, or you're pulling from inspiration in a recent news article, let's say, and it's not your own story, you can go high level and you can really distill down, okay, what were the major events, what were the major themes of this, and how can I connect it to our organization and our mission and still have the same impact? You get creative with it. I mean, that's the whole fun of storytelling, right? The creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. So what tips do you have for really good storytelling? Because like I said, I'm terrible at getting that emotion in there, but what are some
Mm.
really good tips for people that are looking to write their stories?
Oh, there's so many out there, today's day and age. You can YouTube anything, you can read a blog about anything. And so if people are researching how to tell better stories, they will likely find some templates out there that are tried and true, so to speak, that they can experiment with. But not every organization is the same. And so my best advice is just to experiment. And you might hesitate, okay, I need a little bit more guidance than that, Brieanah. Like, let's figure out how we can tell a really powerful story. So two of the formulas and templates that I like to use a lot with nonprofits, and when I say templates and formulas, I don't mean you have to follow it step for step. I just mean that you want to incorporate elements, you want to experiment and see what resonates with your audience and your mission the most. So two of the templates that I really enjoy using, the first is the hero's journey, and we're all probably familiar with this one, right? Even outside of storytelling itself as a written format, but it can be a really powerful one for nonprofits because you as the organization are starting in the status quo, right? And there's obviously change that you want to create or your organization wouldn't have a mission. So you tell the story of what the status quo is, you explain the challenge that you're going through, and then you have the breakthrough moment, right? And we think about like superhero movies. That's where you see a good example of this. But it applies to your organization and the change that you're working towards too. And so following that formula can kind of help people organize their thoughts and create a powerful story. But sometimes your ideal world isn't it within reach just yet. And so people get hung up. They're like, the transformation hasn't happened yet. And that's where another template comes in called future pacing. And this is where you can really paint that picture for the future that you are working to create, that future that your organization is based around the vision that you have. And so you're telling people with those relatable, emotive, descriptive words that future that you're building, and you're helping them visualize it with you. And as your audience starts to dream with you, they get on board with you, they're in your corner, they become those long time supporting. At the end of the day, my best advice is just to be clear. Prioritize clarity. So clearly convey what's happening in your story. Clearly tie it back to a relevant point. Clearly define the need that your organization has or is serving, and clearly share the desired result or impact that you're all working towards. When it comes to storytelling, when it comes to any copywriting that you're doing for your organization, confusion is the biggest conversion killer, meaning that's where you're going to lose people. So when in doubt, if you're stuck and you're like, oh, this just isn't landing, bring it down, get as clear as you can, just go simple whenever you're in doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. And jargon, because I know that we all have very technical terms that we use. I use this example a lot. I do a lot of work in the addiction recovery space, and
Oh, wow.
everybody uses the word addiction Whereas in that space, we use substance use disorder, and that's not being searched for. That's not something. So we're trying to educate them to use that language, but at the same time, it can be very confusing language and blah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
true. I was an attorney for many years and trying to explain all the different acronyms of all the different laws and regulations that we were using in our lawsuits to the supporters that we wanted to support the litigation was a whole job of itself, right? There's so much technical knowledge. So the more you can just distill it down and just make it simple and clear, the more powerful it'll be.
Yeah, I have a list of power words that I use, and then I have my little cheat sheet here. Oh, you can't see there. Every time I write, it's just a couple of notes to myself about make it shorter, make it simpler, make it more dramatic, make it more entertaining and more informative, right? That's just to remind me in my writing that, come on, drill it down. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Love that you use Post-it notes, by the way. I'm a big Post-it note fan.
Yeah. My kids call me a boomer all the time because I need paper. So what about tools? Because we all know about ChatGPT now, and a lot of people are using that. So any tools that you use regularly for writing stories?
I think the biggest one is just keeping my own records. Because when it comes to storytelling, it might not be immediately apparent to you how that story is going to come back and serve your organization and your narrative. So something might happen to you, let's say you were at the grocery store and someone was asking for donations outside of the grocery store as you left and you didn't have any cash on you and you felt really bad about that. And you don't know how this is going to connect to identifying with your donor base, and maybe times are tough and they don't have extra $5 this month, but you want to let them know that you still value their support. But it doesn't come to you in that moment. Still make a note on your phone, pull out a Post-it note, write down what happened to you at the grocery store and keep records like that, because there will come a time when you have to communicate to your donors and be like, oh, I remember this one time and I don't remember exactly what happened, but you created that record already. So very manual, but as stories happen, as you see a news story, whatever it is, make records, because that's something you can always pull from for content creation in the future.
Yeah.
And same goes for visual, right? So again, let's say you're at a rescue, take pictures all the time. New intakes, updates, whatever it is, keep records. It might not be the right time to ask for further care for the pigs, but you just took a bunch of, because they were really happy that day and they were out running around, whatever it was, right? Great photos. So when it is time to fundraise around the pigs, then you have the photos there for you. The record keeping is my number one tip when it comes to technology. But ChatGPT for sure. Learning how to interact with AI in the most helpful way, because it is a science for prompt generation in and of itself, making sure that you're telling it who it is that's helping you frame for the story, telling it to ask you questions, not just expecting the first thing that it gives you to be absolutely perfect, but really making it a working relationship with AI, and you'll get better content out of that. But then, today, so much of it is visual. And so there's apps for video editing like CapCut that make it really simple to drag and drop video clips and edit it on your phone. And the different image editing tools, even Instagram's own native tools are getting better. So just playing around with what is at your user level, because some people just don't want to touch technology, and I totally get it. But just playing around with different tools that are out there for sure. There is something that can help you get faster and faster with your content creation.
Oh, I know one of my go-tos is Grammarly, because I have dyslexia, so it really helps me double check everything, and they've got a bit of an AI writer in there as well. And I have been guilty of plunking a story into ChatGPT and using the prompt, please make this a little bit more emotionally charged. I love that one. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course all the video and photo editing. All right. Well, any other tips before we talk about you and Pink Barn?
I think I have like main 3 tips that I want people to take away from our conversation. The first being we've already talked about it. Be vulnerable, be authentic. I think in today's day and age, people can be really afraid to show up online and have their face be seen, especially in the nonprofit space. They don't want it to be about them, but people do connect with other people.
That is that is a huge thing. People relate to that. They connect to that. That is a fantastic tip. Be vulnerable. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And then as we're talking about different tips and technology that you can use, start small. If you're just starting to make your copy better, like you're starting on Instagram with a caption, start very small. Just add in some descriptive language, add in some senses. Like if it is fundraising for the pigs, is it a sunny day? Did you rescue them on a rainy day? Were their feet deep in mud and they were stuck and dirty and cold? Like paint the picture for people. Just start small, add in a couple descriptive. It doesn't have to be this whole huge novel that you're writing for people. It doesn't have to be scary. Just start with more emotive language. And then finally, know your audience. The clearer you are in who you're speaking to, the better your content is going to be. So when you take the time to research who your supporters are, meeting them where they are, what their experiences are, their values, etc., the more your stories are going to land with them.
Yep. Yep. Could not agree more. I preach that all the time. Know your audience.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Do you want to? I'm going to leave your information in the video description. So if anyone wants to contact you, it's down below. But what do you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Brieanah, and I am the founder of Pink Barn Creative. It's a freelance marketing agency for nonprofit organizations. I know that can sound really scary. Essentially, it's just me supporting you on your mission. My background is in nonprofit organization work. I started as an attorney during the pandemic, and the different legal structures that are at play and the issues that are to my heart, it became clear to me that there was need for growth in the change that I wanted to see in the world, in the communication space, and in talking to people and rallying people. Some might say the more grassroots side of nonprofit work. And so I pivoted into marketing and messaging. I wanted to really activate people and get them excited to create the change that so many organizations are working on. So now I offer anything from copywriting to strategy support, really whatever an organization needs to get their message out there in a more compelling way. I'm here to cheer them on.
Well, and it's pretty hard to fundraise if nobody's heard of you. The two go hand in hand. So it is very important work you're doing. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. I will see you on Instagram. I know we're connected there, and I really appreciate you coming on to do this. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.